You have been trying to lose the belly fat for months, maybe years. You eat better, you exercise more, and it is still there. What most people do not know, and what nobody has ever explained clearly, is that belly fat is not just sitting there waiting to be burned. It is actively doing things to your body right now, things that make it harder to lose weight, things that affect how you feel, how you sleep, how you think. The belly fat is not just the result of the problem. In many cases, it is part of what is causing it. And once you understand what it is actually doing inside you, the reason it is so hard to get rid of finally makes sense. And the third thing belly fat does to your body, the one that directly explains why dieting alone almost never gets rid of it, is something most doctors never explain. We get to that in 5 minutes. First, something most people do not know. Not all belly fat is the same. When you look at your abdomen, what you can pinch between your fingers is one type of fat. It sits just under the skin. It is visible, and while it affects how your clothes fit, it is relatively harmless in terms of what it does to your body internally. But deeper inside, surrounding your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, there is a second type of fat. You cannot see it, you cannot pinch it, and it is the one that is actually causing the problems. This deeper fat is what doctors measure when they talk about health risks associated with abdominal fat. And the reason it matters so much is not how much space it takes up, it is what it does. Because unlike the fat you can see, this deeper fat is not passive. It does not just sit there. It produces substances that travel through your blood to your organs. It sends signals to your brain. It interferes with how your liver works. It affects your immune system. It is, in a very real sense, an active part of your body, not a dormant storage system. And what it is actively doing, the 3 things happening inside you right now because of it, is what this video is about. Thing 1, it is producing inflammation. The deeper belly fat, the kind surrounding your organs, constantly releases substances into your bloodstream that put your immune system on alert, not from an infection, not from an injury, just from being there. Think of it like a car alarm that never turns off. Your immune system is designed to respond to threats, but it is not designed to be on high alert indefinitely. When that alarm runs continuously for months and years, things start to break down. Your energy drops. You recover more slowly from everything. You get sick more easily. Your sleep is less restorative. And here's the part that makes this a cycle rather than just a symptom. Inflammation makes it harder to lose fat. The same substances that your belly fat produces also interfere with the signals that tell your body to release stored fat for energy. So, the belly fat creates a condition that makes itself harder to remove. The second thing belly fat does is more surprising because it directly explains why you can eat less and still not lose the fat around your middle. Thing 2, it is interfering with your liver. Your liver is one of the most important organs in your body when it comes to energy. It decides what happens to everything you eat, whether it gets used, stored, or converted. The deeper belly fat sits directly next to your liver, and it releases substances that go straight to the liver before reaching anywhere else in the body. What this does is significant. The liver becomes less efficient at regulating your blood sugar. It becomes less responsive to the signal that says, "Stop, there is already enough glucose in the blood." The result is higher blood sugar throughout the day, even on days when you eat very little. This is why people with significant abdominal fat often find that their blood sugar is elevated even when they are dieting. The belly fat is interfering with the liver in a way that food restriction alone cannot fix. And a liver that is struggling to regulate blood sugar produces more of the storage hormone we covered in the hormones episode, which is the signal that keeps fat cells locked and prevents fat burning. The The belly fat is directly maintaining the hormonal environment that protects itself. And the third thing, the one that connects to everything we covered in the cortisol episode, is why stress specifically grows belly fat faster than any other type of fat on your body. Thing 3, it is producing its own stress hormone. This is the part most people have never heard. Belly fat, the deeper kind, contains enzymes that convert inactive stress hormones into active ones inside the fat tissue itself, which means that visceral fat does not just respond to stress, it generates its own stress signal internally. And that locally produced stress hormone does what stress hormones always do. It tells the fat cells to store more, to hold tighter, to accumulate further. This is why belly fat is so self-reinforcing. The fat produces a signal that tells itself to grow. More belly fat means more local stress hormone. More local stress hormone means more fat storage in the same location. The cycle feeds itself independently of what is happening in the rest of your body. It also explains something that many people experience but cannot explain. Why belly fat specifically seems to come back faster than fat elsewhere, even after you lose it, because the tissue that was there before still has the enzyme activity. The memory is in the tissue. So, why does this matter? And what actually works? Understanding what belly fat is doing changes what you target. If you only cut calories, you are addressing one input into a system that has multiple self-reinforcing mechanisms. The inflammation keeps running. The liver keeps being interfered with. The local stress hormone keeps accumulating fat in the same place. What works, and what the research consistently shows, is a combination of things that address the cycle at multiple points simultaneously. Movement, specifically sustained moderate movement, is more effective at reducing the deeper belly fat than dietary restriction alone, not because it burns more calories, because movement directly reduces the inflammation that belly fat produces. It also improves how the liver responds to blood sugar, and it lowers the stress hormone that belly fat uses to grow itself. 10 minutes of walking after a meal does more for visceral fat specifically than an hour of calorie restriction. This is not an opinion, it is what the research shows. Sleep, as we covered in episode 4, is the second most powerful intervention for visceral fat specifically. Poor sleep elevates the stress hormone that belly fat uses to grow. Good sleep lowers it, and the fasting window, as we covered in episode 6, is the specific intervention that allows the liver to clear the accumulated fat that belly fat has been sending to it. 16 hours without food gives the liver the time it needs to process what has accumulated and begin recovering its sensitivity. The belly fat is not there because you failed. It is there because a cycle started, and nobody explained to you that the cycle feeds itself. Once you understand the 3 things it is doing, you can address all 3, not with one dramatic change, with several small ones that interrupt the cycle at different points. The fat is not your enemy, it is a signal, and now you know what it is saying. If you want to understand exactly how the stress hormone that belly fat produces interacts with the cortisol timing we covered in episode 3, and why getting dinner timing right directly reduces this overnight, watch episode 3 next. Subscribe to Body Signals. Every week, one mechanism. Explain the way it actually works.